Imagine waking up to the news that the US economy just took a $1.7 trillion hit overnight. The stock market is crashing, interest rates are rising, and panic is setting in on Wall Street. But what if I told you that this wasn't caused by inflation, a recession, or even the Federal Reserve? No, this crisis was triggered by Japan, one of America's closest allies, making a move so powerful that it could shake the very foundation of the US dollar's dominance. So, what exactly happened? Why is Japan suddenly selling off US Treasury bonds, the very bonds that have helped America finance its public debt for decades? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of global finance? Could we be witnessing the beginning of the end for the US dollar as the world's reserve currency? Before we dive into the details, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and hit that like button so you don't miss any breaking updates on this developing financial war. Now, let's get into it. For years, Japan has been one of the biggest buyers of US Treasury bonds, quietly playing a crucial role in keeping the American economy stable. When the US government needs to borrow money, it sells Treasury bonds, and investors, including foreign countries like Japan, buy them. This allows the US to spend beyond its means while keeping interest rates low. But something has changed. Japan, a longtime supporter of the US dollar, is now selling off these bonds in what looks like a strategic retaliation against Washington's aggressive trade policies. At the center of this financial earthquake is none other than Donald Trump. Known for his America First policies, has once again launched a wave of tariffs on countries like Canada, Mexico, Europe, and Japan. These tariffs, which are set to go into effect on April 2nd, target key industries like automobiles, steel, and technology, sectors that are vital to Japan's economy. But instead of backing down, Japan is fighting back, not with counter tariffs, but with something far more dangerous: the ability to destabilize US markets by unloading its massive holdings of American debt. And here's the shocking part: Japan isn't alone. China, which has also been a major holder of US bonds, has already started reducing its dollar reserves over the past few years. If these two economic powerhouses, Japan and China, both dump their US Treasury bonds, it could send shockwaves through the American financial system. Think about it: if demand for these bonds drops, interest rates will skyrocket. That means higher mortgage rates, more expensive car loans, and a slowdown in business investments. It could even push the US into a recession. But wait, doesn't Japan rely on the US as an ally? Isn't this a risky move for Tokyo? That's where things get really interesting. Japan's government isn't officially declaring war on the dollar, but all the signs point to a deliberate shift away from US financial dependence. Leaks from the Japanese Finance Ministry suggest that Tokyo has already started diversifying its foreign exchange reserves, moving away from the dollar and into gold, euros, and other currencies. If this trend continues, it could seriously undermine the dollar's global prestige. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Since the 1980s, Japan has played a critical role in keeping the US economy afloat by reinvesting its trade surplus into US Treasury bonds. This was a win-win. America got cheap financing for its debt, while Japan ensured stable returns on its investments. But Trump's trade war changed the rules of the game. By imposing tariffs on Japanese goods, Washington essentially forced Japan to look for alternatives. And Tokyo's response: if you're going to hit us with tariffs, we'll hit back where it really hurts, your financial system. The consequences of Japan's bond sell-off are already being felt. In just a matter of weeks, the US stock market has lost $1.7 trillion in value. That's right, $1.7 trillion wiped out in market panic. The Dow Jones has dropped nearly 900 points, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq are also taking massive hits. Even tech giants like Tesla, Apple, and Nvidia have suffered losses of up to 5% in a single trading day. Investors are getting nervous, and the Trump administration is being forced to rethink its protectionist stance. But here's where it gets even more dangerous, because this isn't just about Japan and the US. The domino effect is spreading across the world. Canada and Mexico have retaliated with their own tariffs on American steel and aluminum. The European Union is hitting back with higher taxes on US whiskey, motorcycles, and agricultural products. Even Mexico is considering lowering tariffs on Chinese goods, further shifting trade away from the US. And what about China? For years, Beijing has been secretly reducing its dependence on the dollar, building up its reserves in gold and yuan-backed assets. Now, with Japan joining the movement, a multipolar financial system is emerging, one where the dollar is no longer the undisputed king. So what does all of this mean for you? Well, if Japan and China continue to dump US bonds, expect interest rates to climb, making everything from mortgages to car loans more expensive. The stock market could face even bigger losses, wiping out pension funds and 401k investments. And if other nations follow suit, we could be looking at a future where the US struggles to finance its debt, forcing the government to either raise taxes or cut spending on essential services. At the same time, there's another looming question: will other countries join Japan in abandoning the dollar? South Korea, Singapore, and even parts of the ASEAN bloc have already begun exploring alternative reserve strategies. If this trend continues, the US may lose its ability to wield financial dominance through sanctions and trade restrictions. So, is this the beginning of the end of dollar hegemony? Is the world shifting toward a new financial order where the US no longer calls the shots? And most importantly, how will this impact your everyday life? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe Japan's bond sell-off is a calculated move to pressure the US? Or is it simply part of a bigger global trend? Will Trump back down, or will he escalate the trade war even further? One thing's for sure, this financial battle is far from over, and the next few months could determine the future of global economics. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss the next big twist in this unfolding crisis. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.